Welcome to All Things Financial with Jack Driscoll. Each week, Jack takes on all things you thought were hard to understand about your finances and makes it fun, easy, but most of all interesting. From insurance to the best way to save your money and squeeze the most out of the dollars you put aside for your rainy day. And now, you have a friend in the money business. Here's your host, Jack Driscoll.
Welcome back, everyone, for another edition of All Things Financial. What we're doing in the beginning of this year, I was trying to help every one of you evaluate whether you have the right financial team, tax team, legal team in place. And so I spent the last couple weeks on New Year's resolutions. So unlike last year's New Year's resolutions, where we've all had we're not going to eat candy anymore, or we're going to save money, or we're going on a diet, all those well-intentioned but failed New Year's resolutions. I'm hoping this year you make a more earnest effort to at least put a team together to help counsel you from now and in the future. You know, we go to the computer, we have a lot of resources available that you can always check on and do your own research. But I have to tell you, folks, like I mentioned last week, trying to do this all on your own, it's tough. It's tough for us professionals who do this all the time. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This year, my first actual topic, which is going to start today, is going to be on the area in all of financial planning that I find the most difficult and that I see most families and businesses avoiding discussing or avoiding the issue. And we have a lot of different areas. So I'm not going to tell you what it is quite yet. I am going to preface this by saying that every financial plan, just like a chain, you know the saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link? Well, I'm here to tell you that in that same vein, you can have a chain hanging up a weight, and if just one link is compromised, the whole chain is only as strong as the one compromised link can hold, because every chain has to hold up its share of the load. Financial planning is very, very much like that. Remember the show last year? I went over and found that article on I think it was 84 or 86-year-old woman who had hit a bicyclist on the side of the road and got hit with an enormous lawsuit. I think they were coming after her, if I remember right, like $70 million or whatever. You know what, folks? It doesn't matter whether they were coming after $1 million or $10 million or $100 million. If at that time, a split second, her life totally changed. Number one, whether she was adequately insulated from those lawsuits or not. And number two, guess when probably the only time she or many of us would ever even look to see what type coverage we have would be after a claim or a loss. We'd then go to say, oh my goodness, am I covered for this, or am I covered adequately for this? We are all like that. That's why we do what we call financial planning. Financial planning is preparation in advance for things we'd like to happen in the future, like retiring and get our kids through college and things like that, take vacations. Preparation in advance, planning in advance, building roadmaps in advance on how to get there, and anticipating in advance whatever roadblocks, obstacles, and pitfalls might deter us or eliminate the path entirely for us that might stop us right in our tracks from ever accomplishing those goals. In other words, what are our risks that could take those goals away from us or take us away from achieving those goals? So when we deal with financial planning, That means a lot of different things to a lot of you. And it also means a lot of different things to a lot of financial practitioners and legal and accounting. I'm going to share with you what I think it involves. I think financial planning should consist of dealing with all the areas in your lives that have anything to do with finances, helping you get there or keeping you from getting there. So that involves just about everything. That involves just about everything you do. It deals with if you go on vacation and get sick. If you can't go on vacation and you get a tax refund, and now if you use that to go on vacation, does that money that was used from the tax refund take away from something else that might have paid off a credit card? And you have choices to make. So now we have compromises. This is all a process, in my opinion, of financial planning. So we try to explore every area in your lives and in your businesses. We do a lot of counseling for business owners who never think twice about what happens if I get sick or how am I going to retire. Most business owners think, I'll just sell my business, that's my retirement plan. And I'll get into this in shows, I'm sure this year. I've gotten into it in shows in the past. You can't count on your business as an asset. Look at what happened to the automobile insurance industry in 2008 and 2009. Some of those dealerships were highly profitable, doing very well. And here the parent company, because it ran into difficulties, canceled their dealership and they're out with nothing. No value to sell. I saw a grocery store down on South Side on East Carson, a very good grocery store. And here they tried to sell it for 2 years or maybe even 3. Couldn't even find a buyer, not even for $1. So their best laid retirement plan might have been, we've worked all those years and now we're going to retire, and nobody wanted it. So all of this is financial planning, folks. And when I deal with you as individuals, I look and see all the different areas as a chain. And I see that if everything goes right except one thing, like what happened with that 86-year-old in the car accident, she went 86 years, maybe everything went fine, maybe nothing went wrong. Now all of a sudden in a split second, maybe her whole life, her whole financial life, possibly unraveled right before her very eyes at age 86. Folks, we don't know what's happening tomorrow. We don't know what's even going to happen the rest of today. We do know you have control over what you have control over, and you don't have control over what you don't have control over. When you get a paycheck and when you get a job, you have control over what you do with that paycheck. And when you buy a house and when you buy a car, you have control over what bills you choose to make yours and make your obligations and not. So when we get into all the financial planning, we deal with budgeting, we deal with saving, we deal with protection, we deal with life insurance, disability insurance, all these different things to try to protect the base. We deal with college planning and retirement planning and charitable planning and estate planning and tax planning for trying to help you accomplish future goals. And in all these areas, I will look at those as a chain for this discussion today. And if I take each link of this chain as one category or component of a total financial plan, I'll get back to, guess what I find very often is the weakest link or missing link in almost every retirement plan or financial plan or business plan. Still not going to tell you yet. I'll tell you what I hear when I bring up the topic. Maybe you can guess what I'm talking about, because I'm going to do a series on this now. I've been asked to do a series. Now is the time. Even though it's tax time, and I like to talk about taxes during tax time, I'm going to interrupt or derail that discussion for the next couple of weeks and talk about this one. When I bring this up to people, a lot of people give me flippant responses. Well, if this ever happens to me, they could just take me out in the backyard and shoot me. Okay. If this ever happens to me, I'm just going to, finish it. If this ever happens, that ever happens to me, that'll never happen to me. I hear, my parents died young, I have a bad heart, this and that and the other. So you can see I'm dealing with a health-related topic right now. But what am I talking about, folks? What's the one area in financial planning that you least want to address or even talk about? What's the one area you don't want me to bring up? What's the one area you don't want me to talk about or have anyone else talk to you about either, because you want to avoid it? The best way to solve a problem for a lot of people is avoid the issue entirely. Just ignore it. Well, that involves a lot of these pieces of the chain, I can tell you. Because when I talk to people about retirement saving, they say, well, it'll be fine, I have enough. And, obviously, a lot of people don't want to spend less and save more. When I talk about somebody getting hurt at work, I say, are you covered at work? And they'll say, yeah, I have workers' compensation insurance, I have car insurance, I have home insurance. If I'm hurt at work, I have health insurance. I'll say, what about disability? Because that's a widely neglected one. Some of you have group disability coverage at work, and others who don't have group disability coverage at work, many times I find have no coverage at all for disability. If you lose your job or your income due to being hurt and your bills not being paid, most people that I talk to, if they don't have group disability coverage, they have no disability coverage. But that's still not the weakest link that I'm talking about today. The one I'm talking about today is the one that's the most difficult for me to solve. In all of the areas and study and research that I've done, it is the toughest one for me to solve, truly. I struggle with this one the greatest. I can't trust the resources that are available as being the best solution, as I can in many other areas of financial planning. I struggle deeply with this one, as do you. So I could see why everyone wants to avoid it. I don't know whether all of you have guessed it or not, but what I want you to do is when you go through your financial plans or financial thoughts, I want you to think and flip through the pages in your mind. I don't know what he's talking about. Is he talking about my car insurance? Well, I have that taken care of. My home insurance? Well, I have that taken care of. Disability? I have the group disability. Health insurance? I have the health. Retirement planning? I have the plans for the savings. My college planning? I've got that. What's Jack Driscoll talking about here? Here's what it is. The financial avoidance king is long-term health care, nursing homes. If you or a valued loved one, parents, sisters, brothers, need nursing home care, almost everybody I talk to has not made arrangements for what should happen. Just like a will. A lot of people don't have a will. Shame on you. Because I've brought that up on enough shows. Contact an attorney. I'm not an attorney. I don't do wills. Contact an attorney. Get a will done. It's irresponsible not to. Irresponsible to who? Hey, if you don't address these issues, especially if you're avoiding addressing the issues, when I talk to people about you need to call an attorney for a will, one of the spouses normally says, he won't talk about it or she won't talk about it. And what that is to me is avoidance. Why won't we talk about it? Some people feel if we talk about it or dwell on it, it'll happen. And since I don't want it to happen, I don't want to dwell on it or talk about it. So leave me alone. Well, you know what that is, folks? That, to me, that's irresponsibility, and that's saying, I don't want to deal with it. I can't deal with it. You deal with it. When? After it happens. In other words, and who's you, by the way? that you refer to. It's the most loved one or the most caring one in all of your world that you're saying, I'm sticking you with it. That's why I say it's a level of irresponsibility and a lack of responsibility. Because to take the responsibility on your own is too hard. So here, you deal with it afterwards. Long-term care, health care, nursing home. I'm never going into a nursing home, they say. How do you know? I don't know. Nobody knows. How do you know? You develop a stroke the next day. You're in a car accident, something happens. You don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know what's going to happen. But you do know what could happen, and so do I. And remember I said in the beginning of the show, you deal with things that you have control over, and then you plan and prepare and protect against the things you don't have control over. I don't have control over whether I'm going to catch my next cold. I don't have a control over whether a lot of things are going to happen. But I do have control over the consequences I allow to my family and my loved ones if I get disabled, if I die prematurely, if I go into a nursing home. None of which I want to happen. These are not my goals and dreams, folks, nor should they be yours. I'm going to die too early. I'm going to get disabled and lose my income. I'm going to, if I do everything right, go into a nursing home and drain all my family's finances. Folks, they're not the American dream. But a lot of those, they are the American reality. Because we're not in a socialist country. We're in a democratic country where we are left to our own. So that's the big area that I have as the Achilles heel and the weakest link or missing link in many financial plans. What if your parents go into a nursing home? Who's planned for that? Have you, the children, planned for what consequence of that might be for your lives if your parents, one of your parents, need to go into a nursing home? Most families are going to tell me, no, I never thought about it. I don't even know what to do, they'll say. And I'll say, well, you're a son and a daughter, how many kids are there? Guess who this responsibility falls on? It falls on, in many cases, the most caring of the children. At the expense of that child, daughter maybe, having to quit her job as a nurse at a hospital or whatever, which means the financial hardship is to the daughter's family, who's trying to raise her own family, losing one of the two incomes, because now she has to take care of mom or dad, because neither mom or dad planned or prepared in advance, hey, if anything happens to me, I don't want to be a burden on my kids. So since there was no planning done, it's the missing link. So it doesn't matter what other planning was done. They have a great automobile insurance policy package. A great salesman went in there, sold them the best homeowners and automobile and liability. And if that accident where they hit the bicyclist ever happens, boy, nobody could touch them. They're golden. And if they ever have a health insurance claim, they've got the best of everything. And their assets, they're set for life and retirement. They have all their wills done, all their powers of attorney, all these different things. They even have their charities lined up. Oops. Forgot one category. And down goes all the rest. Like a house of cards. So what we want to do is stop you now, and we want you to focus on the issue, because the majority of solutions are really a result of your paying attention to and turning your focus on the potential problems. Number one, yes, that you hope will never happen. Do you have any control over whether they'll happen? Probably some. How well do we eat? How thin are we? Do we go to the doctors? You know, all this. We do have some control. We just don't have total control. So what we would try to do is build a safety net, a financial safety net. How do we do it? You come to me. We're going over the next couple shows, and I'm going to turn the pages through many of the different alternatives that a person can go through to try to evaluate which solution is best. Is it that a daughter quits her job? Is it that maybe a daughter's not working and she comes in and lives with you? Is it that you go live with the daughter or the son? Is it with you people move in together? Is it with that you sell your house and you go into a retirement community? Is it that you, while you're still healthy, buy long-term care insurance? Is it while you're still healthy and mentally capable, you carve out a percentage of your assets and you say, that's my long-term care fund? Is it that you buy a partnership program with a long-term care insurance policy that covers you for home health care or if you go into a nursing home? Is it with a life insurance policy that you say, I don't like those long-term care insurance policies or companies, they're all shysters, and you say, well, I don't even think if I ever go into a nursing home, I'm just wasting all my money. I'll do it on my own. Is it that you say, well, maybe I'll buy life insurance instead and put a long-term care rider on the life insurance? Is it that you'll have your annuities with long-term care riders? Is it that you will, and I can go on and on. What I'm going to help you with over the next couple weeks is evaluate each of those alternative solutions and the pros and cons and advantages and disadvantages and just this whole world of long-term care planning. Some people will say, I'm just going to an attorney and I'm going to make a claim for VA veteran benefits because I'm a veteran or my spouse was a veteran, and I hear that we get monthly income if we're qualifying for benefits under the VA. Some will say, I'm going to qualify on Medicaid, and I'm going to have Medicaid pay all the bills. I'm going to go see an attorney, transfer all my assets, make myself look impoverished, and then the government will pay for it all. Folks, listen, we're going to cover this over the next couple weeks. We're going to go into this. But the weakest link area, what I'm trying to get you to focus on today, is please tune in for the next couple shows and the next couple videos I send out. I'm going to try to do a comprehensive analysis to help you evaluate at least all the different types of alternatives that have worked for others in the past and that have failed for others in the past, how to not be an ostrich and put your head in the sand, which means, hey, my most beloved daughter or my beloved spouse, you deal with this. I'm dumping this on you if it ever happens to me. You deal with the nightmare of the ordeal because I, while I'm healthy and competent and capable, am unwilling to do so. That's an unforgivable mistake. So I'm here to try to draw your attention to the next couple shows. I'll help you every way that I can, identify all of the possible solutions, and maybe you can email me with some that I miss. I'm always willing to learn. And let's try to get through this thing together, that we don't imperil our family and our businesses if things go wrong, but in fact, we've done comprehensive financial planning, preparation in advance. Our chain is as strong as the weakest link, and all of our links have been identified individually and secured and shored up that each will be able to handle the load if when the spin of the wheel comes and it's on our turn, that chain can handle the load. All right, folks, that's the prelude to our next series. I've been asked to do it, and I'm going to do it now. Next couple weeks, and I don't know whether it'll take 2 weeks or 5 weeks. I'll keep going till I exhaust all the different opportunities that I know of that families try to solve this problem through. So thanks again for tuning in, and we're going to turn the next page and go into this weakest link, which is long-term care planning. We'll see you again next week and start on this most difficult of tasks. But by the time we're done, we hope we'll help you solve some most difficult problems and insulate your family from having to do it for you. Thanks again. We'll be back next week.
You've been listening to All Things Financial with your friend with the answers to all financial matters, Jack Driscoll of Driscoll Insurance and Financial Services. Securities and investment advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and registered investment advisor and member FINRA and SIPC. Driscoll Insurance and Financial Services is not affiliated with SagePoint Financial, Inc. or registered as a broker, dealer, or investment advisor. You can reach Driscoll Insurance and Financial Services Incorporated at 412-833-1500, and they are located at 2738 South Park Road, Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, 15102.